Well, with the transmission done, the engine presumably done, the garage cleaned up, ready to put it back in, except somehow I forgot to put the rear main seal in, which means I have to tear it all apart again, oil pan off, crankshaft out, front cover and timing chain, all that stuff, to put in the rear main seal. So that's a little bit of a setback. Well, I've undone a lot of the work that I had done because I forgot to put the stupid seal in, but now I'm almost ready to put that in, and then I can start redoing all the work I undid. Okay, I have the rear main seal on here. This is the split seal type, which I guess Moss doesn't sell anymore. I looked online, I didn't see it any longer. But if you are putting this in, I think I have a tip. So rather than try to have the spring in the seal and stretch it over the flange here, it seemed like I really would have to open it too far. So I put the spring on first, let it lay back here, and then open the seal around the journal, which is the smallest opening I could possibly use to get it on. And then it's a little bit of a fight to get the spring into the back of the seal, but I was able to do that with a couple of these sticks here. Where is it? So I could just get in here and hold one side, take another stick, and run around. So I'm hoping that's going to work. And I'm also going to seal the RTV along this edge. And I think I'm going to try a little moto seal right at the end of the bearing cap here, just to be sure and get a seal on this, hopefully. So here's my gasket maker application, the black RTV in there, moto seal just on the tips here, and down this edge about as thin as I dare spread it. And then same thing here, let it dry 1 minute, and then assemble and torque, it says. So, and I was very careful not to get too much by the oil drain hole. You can just see just a trace of it. Okay, engine's back together for the second time. Rear main seal properly installed. I've got my resurfaced flywheel that got a little bit of rust on it because I didn't get to this fast enough. And the new clutch kit. Transmission's all mated up. I used some cut-off bolts in a few of the holes as guide pins, and that really worked out well. It's going in. It's in. Took 15 minutes. Got lucky, I think. Installation is progressing nicely. The manifold's on. Gonna try to put the fuel pump in, but I guess I didn't rebuild that yet. And then I thought about the spin-on oil adapter, but I got another problem with that. There's remnants of an O-ring down in there, and can't really scrape it out very well. And the aluminum's soft, so I don't want to get too aggressive. I tried putting some brake cleaner in there, and I'll let it soak for a while and see if that attacks it at all. So then looking at the fuel pump, just starting to take that apart. Carburetor's back on. I took pictures of the linkage, but it wasn't good enough. I had to refigure it out on my own. I think I got it right. Interestingly, it looks like the Moss catalog says that this linkage to the throttle shaft should be in the forward hole, and this should be in the other hole, but that can't possibly be right. Even so, it's still got a little bit of an angle, but I looked at my picture, was able to show that it did have that angle initially, so I think I have it right. Here's my attempt to get these valves out. They're peened in there. I pulled on them and they just tore the valve apart, so I have an end mill bit in the drill press and trying to remove enough metal to get them out. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but new pumps are back ordered, so giving this a shot. Okay, I got one out. Actually, the end mill is very tough to use. What worked better was taking a knife with a brand new blade and going around and just cutting where it's peened in. It takes a little while, and I was able to do it under a microscope, which helped a ton. But I think I'm going to be able to get this one out, and you won't even be able to tell I did it. Okay, so that second one's out, and I was able to cut the peens with the knife, and you can see it's a much better job than on this side. So I think that's a good way to do it. The peens actually weren't holding mine in. It's kind of a pressed fit, and the peens are just a afterthought, and if they're not done well, they don't actually even hit the valve. So I could actually move the valve in there with the peens in place, and I only had to get the peens out of the way to remove the valve. And so if you can get a screwdriver in here, break out the thinner tabs of that valve, and you can get a screwdriver in here and pop it out. It takes a little bit of force though. And mine was all caked full of dried up gasoline varnishes and so on. So I spent a lot of time cleaning it. I ran drill bits through here and just turned them by hand to get some of the crap out of the passageways. I can't get this passageway because he was drilled straight through from this end and then plugged under here. So I'm going to try soaking it and hopefully get all the crap out. There's still quite a bit in the passageways and down in these holes. There's 2 paper gaskets underneath those valves, and the unfortunate thing is my kit comes with this one, which is made for, I think, an older style fuel pump where the valves are held in by a little H bracket and 2 screws. So hopefully I can cut this down the middle to replace these. So I got the fuel pump cleaned out, and I started worrying about the gas tank and the fuel lines. So I started down another rabbit hole, took the tank out, and there was just gobs of mouse crap in here, all packed in around the spare tire. Spent a couple hours trying to clean that out. Got the gas tank out, took off the lid, the gauge sender unit, and cleaned up that area. I cut a piece of PVC to cap this off so I can do some soaking with some rust stuff, and then I have a piece of an inner tube to screw down under that to seal that off. And for this I'm going to put the hose in, and I have some of these drain stoppers that are the right size to put in the hose. I can plug that in there. There's the inner tube that donated the seal for the sender unit. And so I'm going to clean that out, rinse that out, let it soak for a couple days, turn it, probably put some chain in there or something to scratch it up. And then I have coming a 3-part tank cleaner sealer system to put in afterwards. I did put a camera down in there, and it's not horrible, but there definitely is some goop down in there. But as far as the rust goes, it's really not that bad considering it sat for 30 years. And then I got new for the fuel line. I got the nylon line that I have trying to straighten it out a bit here. Of course, they roll it up so tight that it has this memory. But 5/16 nylon to replace the steel that's in there. May not be my final solution, but just want to get it running, hopefully, so I can drive it yet this year. This is the fuel sending unit. I cleaned up the top. This is the anti-rattle device. It's supposed to be a rubber band-like thing to quiet it when it bangs against the side of the tank, I guess, but this is hard as a rock, so I'm going to get a new one of those. And these are the adapters from steel line to nylon. You get one of each size, and about $5.50 for a 3-pack but only one of them works, of course, so I had to get 2. But I've used them before on my truck and my other car, and they work really nice. So I think this will be a good temporary solution, if not permanent. I have the new valves in. It's really hard to find a tube that'll fit over the shield here and hit the ring where you can drive it in. So this valve is actually not in all the way. But I think it'll still be okay. It's a little bit of a risk, but not too hard to change the fuel pump if it is a problem. Not sure that was exactly the right way to do it, but a little fiddling, I did get it to work. So you can tell it works by running either lever. Oops, there it popped out, but so I have it in there. I didn't exactly line up the tab the way it was before, but you can tell it works by running the lever here. Just have it loosely screwed in a couple places because I couldn't hold it with one hand. It's so beautiful, how could it not work? I can pump it and hold my finger over the outlet and then move my finger off and hear the diaphragm kick back, so I know that that one valve is at least working. On the other side, there's too much air in here to really know if this one's working, but I think I should be safe.